right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of year. All 16 of our teams for Stage 5 of the COD Mobile World Championships have been decided, which means it's time for a tier list of all the teams that are heading into it and where I anticipate they'll finish, or really what I think their current skill level is based on what we've seen in the group stages, the difficulty of their regions, etc., etc. I'm just going to take it in the order that it goes. So first off, we got Exclusive. I'll be honest, Exclusive's a team I'm not super high on. I think the addition of Shark from Animus was definitely a really good one, but they're a team that I think got into Stage 5 largely based on the collapses of the teams around them rather than them really being like a dominant team. I think it's tough for me to put them... I definitely can't put them above C. I might change some things around. As of right now, I'd probably put them at C, but realistically could be D. Godlike is a team that I think gets an undeserved amount of hate just because of, number one, the performance of the Indian teams last year. I think that's the biggest thing about it. I think a lot of people forget they won 3 matches in 2021 Stage 5, so it's not like they're incapable of winning. And from what I've heard, and this came with a vouch from PJ from WPM, so even though WPM didn't make Stage 5, pretty significant vouch saying that these guys have improved a lot. A lot of other pro players have said so as well. So I'm hopeful for Godlike. They're not high in B for me, but I think they can exceed people's expectations. I would probably put Loops right next to them. Loops, similarly to Exclusive, I would say got to Stage 5 largely because the collapse of the team around them, that team being Galoris, who absolutely had no business not being in Stage 5. Just completely fell apart. I think Loops are a solid team. With that being said, we haven't really seen them at the top of any of the tournaments as far as local tournaments that they played in. Obviously, they did beat Inco in the group stages, but we've seen group stages just don't really matter that much. So it's tough for me to put them above B. Luminosity, I think, is the only team on this list that you can really justify putting in S tier. They definitely look to be in a league of their own, I think, especially when Tectonic's playing. They're close to untouchable. Obviously, they made some changes, Stage 4 stuff. I still think he should have played Stage 4, even though they won the whole thing. I think he should have played Stage 4, but regardless, it seems like he's going to be in the starting roster. Come Stage 5, tough to not put them in S. The record kind of speaks for itself. Q9 is an interesting one, and this may be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm actually going to put them in B. Main reason for that being, I know they just won the entirety of China Masters and everything else. They're at the top of B. Don't get me wrong. Number one, China teams have always had a big time struggle whenever it comes to respawns, just because the format they play on, the normal best of 5 they play is search and destroy hardpoint, search and destroy control, search and destroy. So they play way more search and destroy than anything else. I think they're going to steamroll everybody, with the exception of maybe Wolves, when it comes to search and destroy. I think they're going to have a lot of struggles whenever it comes to the respawns, and obviously, they have Uling on that team, but he hasn't really performed up to expectations in back-to-back years of Stage 5. So I'm waiting for them to prove something to me. I think Mayhem have earned their spot in A just simply by the fact that they gave Luminosity a tough time in the playoffs. They were the only team that could really put a chink in the armor. Obviously, with that being said, they didn't have Tectonic. I think if Tech's in that starting lineup, it's probably not quite as close. But Mayhem definitely have a solid roster. There's a lot of experience there. Now I feel like I gotta put Q9 in A. I gotta change that. I can't put them down. They might be at the bottom of A, but I can't put them in the same tier as Godlike and Loops. That's just disrespectful. Yeah, Mayhem look very, very solid. And I also know, like, the one thing that really sticks out to me is the fact that we were talking to those guys after they got done playing, and they talked about the fact that they were putting in like 8 hours of work every day. So you know that these guys are going to continue to prove from Stage 4 into Stage 5 as well. I've got them in A tier. Vitality, I'm sorry, I'm just not seeing anything that makes me think that they can be above D tier. They did win a match in Stage 5 last year. It was against a Strut team that had absolutely no business being at Stage 5. They got steamrolled by Godlike in every single matchup they went against them. Or maybe not every single match, but the majority of the matches they went against Godlike, I believe they got steamrolled in the grand finals as well. I hope to see them improve. I haven't really seen any, like, scrim, VOD, anything from them, they've been completely radio silenced in stage 4. It's tough for me to build any type of a narrative around exclusive. TLE is a team that I've seen a lot of different takes on. Obviously, they won stage 4, which is super significant. But they are a super young team. I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I think they're absolutely A tier. I would probably put them above Q9. But I'm not sure. I think they're the best team in LATAM right now. I think with the addition of Leo Zera, I think that changes things for Inco quite a bit. And I do think, once again, that Galoris was the best team in LATAM. They just had a really bad day at the worst time possible. So I feel really bad for Galoris, because I think were they to be in stage 5, like, even if they hadn't won stage 4, there's potential I would have had them in S tier. Honestly, same for Low Kings as well. That's kind of crazy to think of, that those two teams aren't even going to be at stage 5. Mind-boggling. Tribe is one that I've seen a lot of different takes on as well. I do think Tribe is at least B tier right now. I think Tribe has a very wide, like, could be way higher and also could be way lower. It really depends on the work that the players are going to put in, because from everything that I've heard, they put in little to no work from the end of stage 4 groups to stage 4 playoffs. There's so much talent on there. Like, Jez, when he's at the top of his game, is probably a top 5 player in the world. Space is a top tier anchor AR. Rabalo might be one of the best OBJs in the world. I think there's a lot of factors that you got to look at. Obviously, they picked up S-Thug and Rihan, and they dropped Bolu and Forsaken. The drop of Forsaken is not official, but the addition of Rihan and S-Thug is definitely for sure. I'm not sure how those two players are going to fit into the roster, so that's one thing that can change a lot as well. They're a team that, like, if they put the work in and they're at the top of their game, they can be at the top of A. If they don't put any work in, then they're going to be sitting down with Vitality. It's a pretty big swing in my book. Wolves, this might be a hot take as well. I have Wolves in A tier. Now, that might be surprising just because Q9 beat them in CDM 6 playoffs, grand finals, whatever it is. I think overall, Wolves are still a better team. I think there's a lot of teams that, especially if you're looking at the overall quality of the team, one match is not the difference maker when you have such a large sample size to look at. And for the entire year, Wolves were rolling Q9. I think on top of that, Wolves were a better respawn team. So the outcome that you're going to get from a better respawn team, even though they didn't necessarily win all the respawns up against Q9, I think overall they have more skill that they can pull from. It is going to be interesting because Ching's one player that's still on the roster that has consistently underperformed. I think they're going to need to find ways to maximize him more, put him in better situations to be able to help out the team. But with that being said, I do think Wolves are a better team than Q9 right now. I think they're going to be, like most of the Chinese teams, pretty much untouchable in search and destroy. And I think they're the best respawn team whenever it comes to China. So I've got them at A tier. Gosh, I feel like I need to spread things out a little bit more, but I'm just going to kind of go with my gut for most of this. Inco, I've got an A tier as well. This is part of the reason that I had Q9 in B before, and I was like, no, we'll have them higher up. I think Inco, I'd probably put them ahead of Mayhem right now. I think Inco, with the addition of Leo Zera, have the potential to be a number 2 team right now. I think they're incredibly talented. I think they're very well-rounded. Obviously, they came in 3rd. No question, they're the best, the best 3 seed heading into the competition. I think they're going to make a lot of noise. I think that they have the potential to do some crazy things. So I'm curious to see what they can do. I know that they're getting a lot of good practice up against Galoris as well, and I think that's another thing that's going to continue to excel them. I've got Inco up at the top. I know Lucasen is just going to go absolutely God mode on stage 5 as well. So that's one thing that you can always count on. Kings are one. They're a team that I feel like haven't really gotten the respect they deserve. I think the experience you see on that roster, the consistency ever since the stage 4 group stages, and once again, we've seen how little the group stages have actually meant when looking at the outcome of stage 4 for each of the different regions. They're a team that I feel confident they're going to put in the work. They've got leadership in guys like Marvel, they got guys like Grizz, they got guys like Inferno, they got young talent in Raid. They're a team that I think can make playoffs and can make noise in playoffs as well. I'm not sure if they have as much raw talent as the teams up in A tier, but I think with the proper amount of work, I think they can make their way up there for sure. SPG, I'll put them right above exclusive. I don't think SPG win a respawn. It was kind of inevitable that whenever DYG basically dropped out of the competition, that whoever ended up in that third spot is just kind of going to be like, I don't want to call them the sloppy seconds, but that's almost what it seems like for China. DYG roster just fell apart during CDM 6. They end up not making it through. They should have been one of these 3 teams, and if they were at like their full strength, I think they're probably an A or an S tier type of team. But SPG make it through. They can put in the work. I don't know. I haven't done a ton of VOD on SPG, but based on the matches that I watched during CDM 6 playoffs, I just am not super high on them. Vault is a team that I think can make some noise. I don't know. It doesn't seem like COD Mobile is super serious in Japan right now. And they're a team that, like, raw gun skill, they're going to be super, super solid. I just don't know. I don't know what their practice is going to look like. I don't know a ton about the region as it is. Like, I don't know how many tournaments they have, how many opportunities they have, what kind of work they're putting in. Japan, I feel like, is so far removed. I almost feel like Japan's more far removed from the global competitive scene than China is, just because we have, like, outside stage 4, nobody ever has any idea what they're doing. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see on that. Powerhouse is a team that I feel like could go in any number of directions. I think, obviously, they've got experience. Obviously, they're super solid. They absolutely steamrolled Kendra. Honestly, the performance that we saw in the grand finals kind of has me questioning Kendra's position here, just because they did not look good at all. I know there's going to be people in the chat commenting they were hiding strats. Guys, please, can we just stop with the hiding strats narrative? They weren't hiding strats. They just were not the better team. Like, that's just what it was. I just realized that my tier list is like slightly off. I hope that wasn't bothering anybody the entire time. Anyways, Powerhouse, I think, have a lot of potential. I don't feel like they have one go-to game mode, which I think might be cause for concern. I'm probably going to put them at the bottom of A. I think their ceiling is high. Obviously, they made it stage 5 last year, and it is a different roster. I think this roster works a little bit better, but at the same time, it's tough for me to put them higher than A, just because I'm not sure quite how they would stack up against the rest of the teams. I think WPM, like, even despite the fact that WPM got knocked out, I still think WPM are the best team in Garena. They're unfortunately just not playing in stage 5, and then for Kendra, I've probably got them like right in the Volt tribe area. I think they do have a lot of talent. It was interesting that it didn't look like Clove was playing all that well in Garena stage 4. So I'm interested to see what kind of improvements they can make. I will say that there were players that stepped up big time. I think it was either Zen or Fran. I can't remember which one it was, but they look super solid, at better than I expected, better than I think a lot of people expected them to look, for them to be able to knock Kendra down to lower bracket and send them on to the start of their way home. So I think this is the tier list I'm going to go with right now. I'm open to making some changes. Might look a little too biased for me to have Mayhem that high, so I might have to drop Mayhem down to between TLE and Q9. I think this is where I'm going to leave it for right now. But that's going to be it for the video. Let me know you guys' thoughts. Give me your predictions. I'll be sure to link the tier list down in the comments. You guys can tweet me your guesses as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.